She's an award-winning YouTuber and best-selling author obsessed with helping you go after the life you want.
I like it.
Join her as she seeks out the stories and strategies.
Give me every little detail.
Of extraordinary people who found success.
I'm going to get emotional. Oh my God.
Welcome to Detail Therapy with Amy Landino.
This matters. I get to, and that's the big thing for me, is to say get to. I get to talk to people. I get to create aha moments. I get to empower people. I get to engage people. I get to let people know why this matters to them.
Well, hey there. Welcome to Detail Therapy. That was my most fabulous connector friend, Michelle Tillis Lederman. In this episode, we're going to be talking about why you should stop networking, what it means to actually be a connector and why it matters, connecting people when you are introverted, relatable, it is for me, how to organize your contacts, and why those who follow up eventually win. We have a lot to get into with Michelle today, but for those of you who are new to the show, my name is Amy Landino, and I will be your host. I'm a YouTube creator, professional speaker, and best-selling author, and an entrepreneur, business owner. What up? We got a lot of things going on around here. I am here to help you go after the life that you want. You can find out more details about me at youtube.com/AMYTV. We're going to continue with our spring series, and that is a little chat with Christy Lingo. You might remember her from episode 7, season 1 of Detail Therapy. She's a professional organizer and wonderful woman. I love to have her on, and this little segment is called Spring Cleaning with Lingo. We are going to get into something really fun to help you get organized this spring. Let's jump into it. Time to catch up on Spring Cleaning with Lingo again. Christy Lingo from SimpleSolutionsOrganizing.com. What's up, girl?
Not much. How are you doing?
I'm doing good. I'm excited because I think we're going to talk a little about digital organizing.
That is exactly what we're going to talk about.
I'm thinking of my husband's home screen on his computer right now, and it's a little scary.
Yeah, outer order, inner peace, right? Isn't that what it is? We need a little inner peace on our laptop.
Definitely.
Yeah, so I think that because digital clutter isn't something that we can constantly see around us, it's something that we just are like, oh, I don't need to worry about that right now. But there are ways that you can sort of spruce it up a little bit to make your workflow or your productivity a little bit easier, and so that you don't end up like on a vacation with your, oh, my file's full and now I can't take any more pictures. So one thing that I really want to advise you to do is in that email inbox. So we are all subscribed, myself included, to like millions of little newsletters, whether they're from stores and shopping or from people that we like to follow. And the thing is, there's so many of them coming so often that sometimes you can't find what you really want to find or what you really need. So be honest about what you're actually looking through and needing, and go ahead and unsubscribe from the ones that you're not using. So for me, like Bed Bath & Beyond sends a lot of emails. But the thing is like if I ever want to get back on their email list, it is so easy. So I will unsubscribe, so it just kind of cleans up my inbox a little bit. And then I can go back in and resubscribe when I want to do it. And you're also doing a favor to the people like us, business owners, who are paying to send you things and you're not really utilizing the information.
You know, it's funny. I don't think enough consumers realize that. Like, if you're on a list and you don't actually want to be on it, you know, you're actually doing a service by unsubscribing, because you are saying, listen, it's not the time and place for me to be thinking about a financial transaction with you right now. So I'm not even going to make it seem like I'm a part of your sort of numbers.
Yeah.
And that's why businesses should also really wrap their mind around that and say it's okay that you lose some people sometimes, because if you're not a priority to them, focus on the people who are interested.
Absolutely, 100%. And it's going to make it so much easier for you to find the things in your email inbox, because it's overwhelming. I get like 1,000 emails a day. Like, it's insane how much stuff we get. So pare it down, really start focusing in on the stuff that you really want in that email inbox. And another thing that you can do very easily on your phone is to go ahead and clean up those albums, like your photo albums, or for instance, a lot of times when we go out to restaurants, I'll download the menu so I can kind of look at the menu of where we're going. And I've got all these random files from random restaurants or, you know, PDFs, Pictures are a huge one. You know, I did a photo organizing episode of my podcast back before Christmas, and people were saying they have 16, 20,000 photos on their phone. Start now to spend 10 minutes a night and just start going back and delete. Get rid of all those ones that you don't need. And then what remains, put into files so you can easily find them. This is my trip to New York. This is my trip to Saudi Arabia. So that you can go in and actually find the things when you need without having to go through 15,000 photos and find those things.
Yeah, I totally agree. I hate doing the photo scroll where I'm like, I know I took a great picture at this point in time in front of this thing, and then I can't find it. And some of our phones will help us a little bit to categorize that, but take the extra step and delete the crap that needs to go.
Well, and again, what's the worst thing is when you
It's
go
gone.
to take a picture, and you can't find it or you can't take that picture because there's no space left.
Right.
And you don't have to do it all at once. Don't feel overwhelmed by 20,000. Say, I'm going to delete 300 tonight, or I'm going to delete 100 tonight, and just sit there before you go to bed and get it done.
Yeah, it's a lot easier if you're not in the middle of trying to take that photo. Like, oh, can you just wait? I need to delete like 15 photos right now to get one.
Right. And, you know, with the burst shot, I
horrible.
think it got a lot worse when we started having the burst shot. So we can take like 1,500 pictures and we can get a really great photo, but then we forget to go back and delete all those other ones.
Live photos, all these things. The technology's taking up more space.
It
and
is.
if you're one of those people that gets the lowest storage on the phone when you go in to get it, you might pay for it if you don't get organized.
Yep.
Great tip.
All right. And the last thing I really want to talk to you about, and this is so important, is your security. So when was the last time you changed your passwords? Do you have a hard copy of your password list? You know, I always joke around. I do a lot of the organizing of the things around my house. Shocking. And my husband would be lost if, God forbid, something happened to me. He has no access to our banking, to our credit cards, to these kinds of things because
Oh,
he
wow,
just
that's a
doesn't
good
know.
point.
He doesn't know the passwords. And so a couple years ago, I made a hard copy list that I keep in our lockbox, and I change that up seasonally. So I go through, I change the passwords that are on there, and I change it on this hard copy list that we have because it's something that's very important to have. It's important to change your passwords on a regular basis, but also having that hard copy and knowing where that everyone in your house kind of knows where it is, so that if they need to get into your accounts, they can do it.
That is such a good tip. I never thought, you hear the words like put your passwords on a hard copy and the whole world goes, what are you, crazy? Like, that's terrible. But you specifically said a lockbox. So like, explain, is this like a fireproof box that you have in your house?
Yep, I have a fireproof, waterproof file box that I keep all of my important documents in, and I keep that right in the front of it.
Oh, wow. Oh, I love that tip. That's really, really good. Okay, great. Oh, another good spring cleaning with lingo. Not good. Great. It was awesome. So Chrissy is at simplesolutionsorganizing.com. And I definitely want you to make sure you listen to episode 7 because we had a lot of fun on detail therapy.
We did.
But what else are you working on? You have a podcast too.
I do. Come listen on my Cocktails and Containers podcast. We've got all kinds of great spring stuff in store for you. We're talking about self-care and productivity and travel, just all kinds of fun stuff on the podcast. And each episode you get a super fun cocktail recipe. And I am very cognizant of the season, so it's all going to be very springy and light and delicious.
I love it. Awesome. You guys go check that out. All the links are in the show notes, and we'll see Lingo on the next episode. Thanks for being here.
Absolutely.
Thanks again for that tip, Lingo. And now let's get into my chat with my next guest. Today I'm sitting down with Michelle Tillis Lederman. Michelle is one of Forbes' top 25 networking experts, the author of 4 books, including the internationally known The 11 Laws of Likability and the new #1 release, The Connector's Advantage. Michelle is a connection creator and CEO of Executive Essentials, which provides customized communications and leadership programs for Fortune 500, nonprofit, university, and government clients. A former finance executive, she's going to talk about that, and NYU professor, Michelle is a regular in the media, appearing on NBC, CBS, Fox, NPR, The Wall Street Journal, New York Times, CNBC, and so many others. Let's get into it with Michelle Tillis Lederman. Michelle Tillis Lederman, thanks for coming on the show.
I'm so happy to be here.
I'm going to sidebar super fast because we are old friends, like in internet. Yours is like 2-3 years now.
And I think it's more.
Yeah, maybe. And we've not met in person until this moment. So that's very exciting. Thanks for sitting here with me. My first question for you is, why do you do what you do?
Because it matters. And that's actually what I've been looking for my whole life, is something that matters. I spent 10 years in finance, and it didn't matter to me, and it didn't really matter to anyone. And this matters. I get to, and that's the big thing for me, is to say get to. I get to talk to people. I get to create aha moments. I get to empower people. I get to engage people. I get to let people know why this matters to them.
I love that. Okay, we need to talk about this. You started in finance. Why don't you're a specialist in networking. You've written a number of books on this in a lot of different ways. 4. That's a lot. The Connector's Advantage is what you just came out with, but I've actually talked to you on a former podcast about the laws of likability. Yes. And so that's a lot of information about something that feels a little bit sticky to people. How did you get excited about networking? And did it come from your previous path in finance? Like, how did this all come to be?
I will tell you, the word networking is one I can't stand.
Yeah.
It has the word work in it. Like, really?
Yes.
So that's why the subtitle of the 11 Laws of Likability is relationship networking. And I only had to put the word networking in because the publisher made me.
Oh, yeah, those guys.
But it's not about getting excited about networking. It's getting excited about connecting. It's getting excited about the relationships and why those relationships are so important to us. And the likability book is kind of the foundation for the Connectors book. And so I actually summarized the entire book in chapter 2. Just to make life
I noticed
easy.
that. I was like, oh my gosh, this was so nice. Like, I'd already read it, but this was a good refresher.
Because I referenced the concept because it's all tied together. Understanding how connections form and understanding how likability is enabled between two people is essential to be able to be a connector and have those mindsets of a connector, which is simply somebody who is relationship focused in how they approach life and work and business and everything.
So how did this happen? Like, you were in finance. Were you like, I'm going to go into finance because you were meeting people and those people you were surrounding yourself were in finance? Like, how did that all happen?
Honestly, I think what we do is we make decisions based on an anecdote to what we didn't have. And so I didn't have financial security growing up. And I wanted the anecdote to that. That's what I craved. And I have a skill. And it's always really important to understand that our skills are not necessarily our preferences, but I have a left brain skill. I'm photographic for numbers. Apparently, I'm highly analytical. Didn't even know what that meant when everyone told me that. And it just made sense to me.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, I get accounting. I'll do this. And I'm going to have a power suit in a corner office on Wall Street. And I actually did have a corner office and a power suit. 2 windows looking out at the stock exchange.
You're like, 1, 2, hey, everybody.
I'm like, yeah.
I made it,
I feel like there's bars on the window now.
Oh, gosh.
But so I chose based on what I was good at and what would give me the life I had craved. But I was missing that passion piece. I was missing that, why do I do it? Because it matters piece. And I was working, I tried everything. I was like, okay, I started with auditing, and then I went to mergers and acquisitions and publishing because I thought publishing was really cool. And then I thought, well, I'm going to study animal behavior. And I'm going to go to school for 5 years to make half as much as I do right now. And I was like, nah, maybe I'll go to business school. I'll make a lot of money, and I'll donate my time to animals. Because I tried to start thinking about the passion.
So were animals always important to you? And then all of a sudden it was bubbling up like maybe I'm trying to seek out happiness, and therefore animals seem to be triggering that a little bit. I'm going to lean into that?
Yes.
Okay.
So animal junkie, love animals, any form, any creation, like let me touch them, let me play, let me help. I will show you. Actually, you can go onto my professional Facebook page, and there's an album called Me and the Animals, and you will see me with the animals, like sloths and monkeys and tigers and nose to nose with the lioness.
Okay, who's your spirit animal then?
Ooh.
If you had to go, yeah, that's me. What animal is it?
Oh my God, there's so many. I don't want to say elephant because that just doesn't sound good.
Why would you say it? Then what qualities would you want to say that?
I fell in love with an elephant when I was in Africa, and it was an orphanage for elephants, and the elephants took us on a ride. And they were so smart and clever and playful, and they would do tricks, and they would be like, all right, if you drop that, I'm going to hold it until you give me a peanut. And then they would give, and they just were so...
I think that's a good answer.
Oh,
that's a good answer. Now that you've explained it,
yes.
It's a pass.
So I tried everything in finance, and I thought, okay, well, I'll go to business school, and then I'll do consulting because then I'm solving people's problems, and I'm helping. Nothing felt it. And I was working as the only woman on a trading floor after getting laid off from consulting in 2001, where everybody else got laid off too. And I had to go out to Japan with my boss, who became the CEO of Tokyo. Yeah.
Wait, I'm sorry, what?
I was working in New York.
Okay.
My boss, the treasurer, got promoted to be the CEO of the Tokyo branch.
Oh my gosh.
So I went with him. I hired a coach to go with me to prepare all of the upper levels, sales, trading, bankers, all those people to report to this guy. I did everything she did and then some. And I was like, I'm good at this. I'm like, this feels good. This feels like what I was born to do. So at the end of the week, in a slightly hungover, not yet gone to sleep state at 6 a.m.
Your best moment.
My best moment. I said to the CEO, I could do that. And he said, okay, but you still have to do all this. I said, okay.
Give me something else. Yeah.
And so I did everything for finance. I did the hedge fund investing. I did the risk management. I did the budgets for 9 departments on the trading floor. And I got to get trained on how to be a trainer. And anything he wanted people to get training on, he would send me to learn it and then teach it in New York and Tokyo.
Oh, wow.
And that,
Twist my arm.
Yeah. And that's how I started my transition. And it was still a few years before I could fully leave the security of a finance salary.
Yeah.
But yet, when I was working full time, I had clients on the side. And then I started teaching at NYU on the side. And then I started my business, and I got JP Morgan as my first client without having a business card or a website.
Wow. And this is all because truly you are just finding an opportunity to do something, taking on a little bit extra, but just being able to get the experience. It's not like when you pivot, it's a hard turn.
Right.
It's not an end. It's sort of like a blend of things that have to happen at the same time so that you can make sure that it's the right decision for you, and also that it's even going to be possible and that there's even market demand for it.
Yeah, I mean, it's not like you have to leap. And everyone says, I'm scared to take a
Yeah.
leap. You don't have to leap. You can take
It sounds so sexy to leap and also so scary. And everyone thinks that's what it is. And that's what I try to explain about my past. When I realized I was going to make the leap, it was a year before I actually left my job. I was losing sleep 12 months in advance, you know? But yeah, it's not one big leap. There's a lot of groundwork to lay down.
You made a sentence before, and this is all because blank. And I thought you were going to fill in the word with networking or relationships.
I'm not that good. I'm not that good, but let's rewind. You know, this is all because of networking. Okay, but let's be real about that. Because somebody listening to this, a lot of people I know who might be listening to this right now are just like me. And they are a self-proclaimed massive introvert. And they know that it takes a lot more effort for them to connect with people. So whether that's true of somebody listening right now or not, extrovert, introvert, maybe it hasn't occurred to them that they should be a connector, but they have thought about networking. And I think that there's a big fundamental shift there that needs to happen. I just heard you say something the other day on another show. Networking is something that you do. A connector is something that you are. I feel like that is the core of making somebody go, oh, it's okay to connect with people. It's not like this weird, awkward situation that has to happen every time you do.
We're always networking and we're always connecting. And we want to move from conversation, which is what happens in networking, to connection, to get the connector's advantage, right? And the connector's advantage is very simple. It's whatever you're working on, you're going to get that result faster, easier, and better. Whether it's a new job, a new client, a new business, a new promotion, happiness, health, it's all aspects of our life, faster, easier, better. So when we say, and all this is because of networking and relationships, yeah, my first client was because back to the animal theme, I said I was going to go to business school, make lots of money, and donate my time to animals. Well,
Yeah.
I was running a benefit called the Canine Comedy Benefit.
Oh, I love it. Explain.
It was with Animal Fair magazine, and the dog shelter I was working with at the time was called Stray from the Heart. And I would bring the puppies and the volunteers, and they would bring the stars and the food and the venue, and we would raise money for animals.
Nice.
And I had 200 volunteers. I didn't know all their names. One of them came up to me and said, oh, Donna, my co-chair, says you're trying to start your own business. I'm still full-time in finance. And he's like, do you want to meet my boss? I'm like, who's your boss? He's like, well, I'm temping, not even an employee. I'm temping at JP Morgan in the investment banking training division. I was like, yes, please.
Oh my goodness.
I'm like, you know.
Also, that person's super smart. A lot of people don't think that. They think that their how do I want to say this? Their relationships that they have are in like a little bank account. And if you give away a little bit of a relationship that you've built, that means it's being taken away from you, not that you are sharing it. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, there are people that think that they need to hang on to their connections because they don't know when they're going to have to ask something, and they don't want to give somebody else the chance first.
That's the scarce mindset. So when we talk about the 7 mindsets to grow your influence and impact, which is the subtitle of the book, let's see if I can do them in order.
Yeah.
All right, count me out here. Ready? Connectors are open and accepting. They have a clear vision. They believe in abundance. They trust. They're social curious. They're conscientious, and they have a generous spirit.
Wow, there you go.
I always worry that I'm going to forget one.
You're too much on a roll right now. You got it. You got it.
And so when you talk about people kind of hoarding and being defensive and protective of what they have, it's coming from a place of scarcity and making decisions based on fear. And we need to shift our mindset to a place of abundance that enables us to have that generous spirit, to be giving, to connect others. That's part of what being a connector is, right? As you said, networking is what we do. A connector is who you are.
Okay, so if fear is the issue, and fear can be a lot of different things. If someone's thinking, yeah, sure, I want everybody to introduce me, but like I'm afraid to do something like that, what would you say to somebody that needs to snap out of that and start thinking more in abundance? Because scarcity and abundance mindset, I have found, and I know because I deal with a lot of like scarcity mindset issues of my own, they feel so baked in that it's like, okay, how do we start to overcome this? So if you had to give someone a tip right now who was like, oh, I don't want to make the intro because, I'm temping. I might want to ask that guy later for a job, or I might want to ask for a promotion at some point, or to come on full time. What would you say to that person?
So there's a few different things. One is you are actually adding value to both parties, right? So when you make an introduction, there's value add in most situations. You need to understand if it's value add to both. In this situation, it was. They look for vendors. He's connecting a vendor with a buyer. It's benefiting both parties. Whereas if it is not benefiting both parties, then we think about it maybe a little bit differently. So first of all, understand that by making the connection, you're creating value for everybody as well as for yourself, because you are increasing your connection to the people who you are connecting. Yeah. So it benefits all. If it is something where somebody is of a higher rank, so to speak, then you might ask permission. And say, is this of interest?
I think that's really important, because then people, let's say somebody gets super pumped by this talk and they say, I want to introduce everybody I know now, because I think that will come back to me. Karma's awesome and connecting, and I want to be a connector. But you also need to make sure that you're not just flooding people with additional stuff that they have to field, right? So going to someone and saying, hey, I met someone, I feel like there's a fit here somehow. Can I make an introduction? I think goes a long way.
It happens to me all the time because I do a lot of podcasts.
Yeah.
And on great shows like this one. Oh. And then people will say, I would love to meet her. Can you get me on her show? And I will say, well, send me a little something, and let me check and see what kind of guest she's looking for right now. And so I would ask you, like, is this a fit? Do you want the intro? Or I would ask you in advance, what kind of guests would be a good fit? For? And then only bring you what I think is a fit for you, rather than, I mean, really, I guarantee you there's going to be 10 people lining up to try to get on your show.
Cool. I'm in. I need content. But yeah, I mean, I also know who I'm talking to. And that's the really cool thing about connecting people who have significant focus, is that if it really is a good fit, you could be the maker of something cool happening. But also, if someone is very focused, then you need to really shape it to the cadence that is going to work for them and the way that they do things. And so coming at it from that angle is very smart.
Now, I didn't answer your introvert question at all.
Yeah, you didn't.
I didn't forget.
But that was super fun.
I'm like, we followed the tangent. I don't know how we got there, but I'm going to bring us back to the introvert, because I want to call BS on that.
Okay.
I actually, in both books, talk about the introvert's edge and the advantage that an introvert has when connecting. Because there's some things that they bring to the table that extroverts like me, a little over-the-top extrovert, don't bring.
You're so over the top, by the way.
I know. And honestly, this is
But you compliment me, so it's good.
I've reined it in my old years here. I'm just saying.
Do you think your kids are introverts or extroverts? Are they showing?
I have one of each.
Really?
I have one of each.
Really?
Yeah. I have one.
So do you kind of have to like gauge things way differently with them? I mean, I would think.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So my kids are 11 and 13. My older one just had his bar mitzvah. Huge party, center of attention, loved everything about being, the one, and was putting on big sighs after he got through his Torah portion and things like that. It was really cute. And personality galore. He's a mini-me. And I tell him, and he's even got my hair, the poor thing.
Oh, God. Your hair is so enviable right now. My hair, with these headsets, it's just flat hair. But yes.
And then my little one is like a mini Mike, my husband, and does not want to be the center of attention, extremely shy, very quiet, very introverted. And we are going to do something completely different for him. We're having just a kids' party, and then an adult luncheon where he doesn't have to do a candlelight, all that stuff. And then we're going to Africa because he also loves animals.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, it runs in the family. It's like genetic.
Parenting goals over here. Okay. Vincenzo's shaking his head in the background.
So when it comes to introverts, it isn't about being the way it looks like extroverts do it. It doesn't have to. Being social and curious isn't about being a social butterfly or life of the party.
I hate the phrase social butterfly because it really paints the picture for what I am not, or what I feel I am not, or worse, wallflower. I don't want to be that either, right?
I don't like the idea of a butterfly either because you're flitting around and you're not staying put.
Intention and meaning and actual relationship building is where's that butterfly? Like, what's that animal? Help me with that.
The inchworm? I don't know.
Okay. Yeah.
I would say I don't want anybody to be a social butterfly. Mm-hmm. When you are an introvert, you are better in the one-on-one. So embrace that.
Yeah,
that's
that's
where
true.
a connection forms. You're a better listener. Right, that's why you're a skilled host, because you listen and then you probe and you ask questions and you share and you do this beautiful dance so naturally. Whereas the extrovert's like, I want to talk, I want to talk, I want to talk.
Yeah. Okay, that makes so much sense. I like that. So, okay. In the Connector's Advantage, you talk about mindsets that grow influence. What is you named a lot of what we need to have going on, and scarcity and abundance was a big one. But what's another one that I think that just to kind of summarize and whet the palate of the audience of why they need to read this book? What other mindset is really going to pop as a game changer for them if they really haven't seen themselves as a connector and know that they need to work on their network? I know they're all your children. But
I
you
know
have to
they
pick
are.
another one.
Okay, so the two that came to my mind, and you can pick which one you want to talk about, is clear vision.
Okay.
Because there's no way to get the advantage unless you know what you want.
Okay, what's the other one?
The other one is conscientious, because connectors do what they say they're going to do. They follow up, they follow through. And we have to be very conscientious about what we say yes to and what we say no to, and giving ourselves permission to say no and how to say no. So those are the two places my mind
I like
went.
that. So why don't we do this? Let's go with clear vision, because I think when you have that, you can start to get outside of the scarcity mindset because you're seeing more opportunity with the vision. And also, you will say no more often because you know what your vision is. So what is it about the clear vision that's going to help somebody go, it's not networking, it's being a connector, but why are you connecting?
So one of the things I always tell people, if you want to do one thing at the end of this to say, I'm going to try to infuse some of these mindsets, I want you to remember the question, how can I help you? Or what are you working on? And ask it often. Mm-hmm. Who do you want to know right now? What are you working on? What's your focus? Anything like that.
What are you excited about? Like,
Right.
just tell me something that's exciting to you.
Because that will give me enough information that I can start to think about how can I add value? Who might you want to know? Who might I connect you with? And it could be, hey, I can give you a great hotel in Croatia where I'm going this summer, or whatever it might be. Like, it doesn't have to be work related. Let me just hear, I'm going on vacation.
Let
Where
me
are
be
you
helpful
going?
to you.
Yes.
With no strings attached.
So that's one part of it. The other part of it is you need to have an answer to that question when somebody asks you.
How can I help you?
Yeah.
I'm so bad at that. You've probably absorbed this from me a lot. Like, okay, so how can I help you? Oh, just keep showing up for our calls. And I really enjoy your company. Yeah, I'm so bad at that.
I'll be honest with you, I'm not great at it either.
Really?
I'm not. It's funny. I tell a story in the book about this time that my car got trapped by my garage, and the electricity went out or something, and I couldn't get the garage open, and I had to pick my kids at school, and the car was trapped, and I was freaking out. And I'm on the phone with the 24-hour 7 repair service, and they're like, we'll be there Saturday. I'm like, it's Thursday.
I'm sorry, what?
Like, 24 hours. What are we talking about here?
What?
So I'm freaking out, and I end up calling my neighbor and say, can I borrow a car? She's like, sure. I'm like, no, you don't understand. It's not just to pick up the kids. I have to be in the city tonight, and I'm going to drive your car all the way to Harrison and leave it at the train station. And she's like, no problem. Which do you want?
Which car?
Which car do you want? Like, I'm just like,
Well, now that you say it,
I'm like, I want the Mini. Come on. She had like a Cookie Monster blue Mini. I'm like, I want the Mini.
Oh,
yes.
cute.
Yeah.
Yeah, we need something to zip around.
It was fun.
Let's go.
And I was like, oh my God. She just solved all of my problems.
With one little question.
Little ask and one little give. And so I wrote a blog post. Like, it stuck with me.
Oh, you sound like, do you know who Gretchen Rubin is?
Yes.
Okay. Actually, let me phrase it in a different way. Love languages. this is very like acts of service. Like I feel like I can sit in your place right now and I can feel the feels that you just felt by somebody solving that problem for you, because what it did was so big, because it was some sort of act of service for you to get something accomplished. And that's the kind of thing that I'm like grateful for on such a different level than all the other ones. Is that what that was?
My love language is usually words and acts, and I'm very good at giving words and giving acts, and I love getting them, but I never ask for them.
Yeah.
So it's
different.
very interesting. So when we think about having a clear vision, we need to know, and it doesn't have to be big.
Yeah.
What's the one thing we're working on right now, and not worry about 10 years from now or 2 years from now. Right now, my whole focus is on the connector's advantage and sharing the book and getting the message out there. That's it. And it could be, next week, it could be I'm focused on, promoting this workshop or whatever it is. But always have something in your mind that you're focused on. Maybe it's I'm trying to meet this type of person, or I'm trying to learn about this type of industry, or whatever it might be.
And I love this because it sounds like it would be so obvious, because when we think of people who are networkers, like just trying to get out there, we think they're coming in hot with a goal in mind. But meanwhile, we're back here not doing that same work, that at least they're making some kind of probably ground on reaching out. But simply by having a vision, you would feel a little bit more confident to be able to hang in a conversation with somebody that you're just meeting or just getting to know. And you might actually get something out of whatever it is, but you're not going in with that is the intention. You're going in with a clear vision, but also with how do I help people? And if I start to do that, then my vision will start to be asked about in the first place, and then maybe achieved.
And I think that's the key, is understanding not going in hot. I like that phrase.
Yeah.
And if people who read the first book, The 11 Laws of Likability, will understand that my idea is not to network for need and not to network for now. I think about connecting for life. Like, you connected with me and you haven't gotten rid of me yet.
No. I'm enjoying it though. It's fun though, especially as an introvert with the extroverts that stick around. It's just like, oh, cool. This is a chemistry that's working. Okay, I want to make time to ask some questions. I got some really good questions from Instagram. As a matter of fact, I asked for questions for 3 different people at the same time on Instagram, and you got the most questions. So I really feel like I need to spend some time on this. Melanie M. Mitchell asked an interesting question. Who should I network with? And it's funny because it's like, are we just, again, clear vision, but like, then who are we deciding is like, do you decide, is someone more worth your time than somebody else? Or do you make the time here or do you not here? Or when do you talk on the elevator and when do you not? That kind of thing. Who do you decide to network with?
I think it's a great question, and I think it's a really big question, because we're always networking. And what I want to tell people to do, big picture-wise, is to enjoy the conversations you're having and connect with the people that you like. When we connected, it was that click, spark, fun. I'm like, yep, I want to stay in her life. And that won't always happen. There was somebody else who I met who I was like, God, there's so much overlap here. We should really be clicking, and we're not. And so I would give them another chance and try. And eventually it did really start to grow. But don't always expect it to be click, click, click. Understand that we give people time for things to nurture and for things to grow. That said, think about 2 pieces of this. One is who you enjoy, who you like, who you want to be around, because when you have that goal, these people might know the people you need. They might be married to them, neighbors with them.
That's the thing.
Right.
You do not have to directly connect with the person that's going to solve all your problems.
Exactly.
You're just connecting with people, so the likelihood's going to go up. You're going to run into somebody or somebody's going to have a light bulb moment and say, you should really meet Joe. And then the thing will happen.
Referrals increase trust 92%. So if you go and meet somebody at a conference and you're just in the audience and you go and introduce yourself, you had a direct contact with that person, but you didn't really meet them and know them and build relationship with them. Whereas if you met their neighbor or their kid they went to camp with and they say, oh, make sure you meet this person, that connection is going to feel different. So I want you to think about, yes, who do I need to meet eventually? But are there multiple ways to skin that cat? Not always going there. That said, go to those places. Marshall Goldsmith, who actually is contributed to the book, he put a quote on the cover of the book for me. I had been introduced to him by somebody, so we had that joint connection. He was so generous, got on the phone with me, and then I found out where he was speaking, and I showed up, and I'm like, I just needed to meet you in person.
Yeah.
And then he cracked me up in his little green polo shirt, and he was laughing, doubled over with things that were being said, and he was adorable. And so I felt even a stronger connection.
Yeah.
And so you want to think about how we navigate these connections, that it's not just always beeline, and it's not always targeted. So connect, enjoy, and then say, do you know?
Yeah. Do you know so-and-so? Okay. Claire has a good one too. And this is probably one you hear a lot. Claire Sandbrook said, how can I feel less awkward about networking? I feel like we're answering it in a big way, but let's say somebody's actually going into a networking event, or let's not even call it that. Good Lord, let's not call it that. But going into a situation where, you know what, it would be wise to meet a few people while we're here. How can you feel less icky about that?
So I always say networking is just another way of saying making friends.
Good.
We all know how to do that.
Yeah.
We all know how
That's
to.
so much more fun.
Think about it at a cocktail party. You grab a drink and you chat a little. I was recently in this situation, and I am an extrovert, but yet I also find some of these events very difficult and draining. And I had to go to this event in an HR group, and I hadn't attended one in a long time. I didn't think I would know anybody, but I was like, you know what? I'm going to go. I'm there. I get there early, which is one of my tips. Sometimes when you get there early, everybody's looking for somebody to talk to. So they will help you, and they will, give you that
Start
that
facilitating
foothold.
a little bit. Yeah.
So I did that, and I wasn't feeling it going there early, and I almost left. And I said, you know what? I'm going to give it a little bit more time. And so that's when you look for a job. I ask somebody if I can help them with something. So you can feel less awkward if you have something you're supposed to be doing.
Something of intention to do.
If you are directing people to the coat room, the bathroom, the registration desk, if you're helping at the registration desk, if you're, even if you don't have an official job, give yourself one.
Give yourself a job.
And
hold a clipboard and make it seem like you're supposed to be there.
It will make it feel like you are meant to be there and that you have knowledge, and it will make you feel more comfortable and grounded. I also say stay late sometimes. You don't have to do both early and late. But late, everybody's chilled a little.
Yeah.
They talk to people. Now we're relaxed. And now it's kind of like more at ease rather than a little frenetic at the beginning. So those are different things that you might do, especially for an introvert.
Yeah.
To kind of manage some of those big environments.
Before I ask another one, I have a really practical question. How do you keep track of your network? Like, literally, what do you use? Do you have a spreadsheet that goes on for days? Do you have a system? Do you have a
Outlook.
Outlook.
I got to be honest
So you have
with
contacts.
I have contacts.
In
In my
Outlook.
contacts, I can go look up yours. I'm sure there'll be notes that your dog's name is Lucy and it's a beagle. And
Oh my gosh. I'm like, what does my Outlook profile say in Michelle's computer?
like I'll always say, if I know the husband's name, you might be in there. I'm not sure.
No,
I'll go
her.
look.
Those are her personal records. I just want to know how they are housed.
So basically, I have not done a CRM. I talk about a CRM in the book because at the end of the book, we talk about diversifying and expanding your connections and technology to help us do that. I get used to a certain way of doing something, and so it's sticky for me. Outlook is my everything.
Yeah, that's how I feel about Google for the most part.
Yeah.
And you talked about LinkedIn in the book too. That's not
LinkedIn.
Yeah. So how do you feel like? How is LinkedIn a part of your process? Let's say you meet somebody new, and whether it's on the scale of that was okay and I want to never leave her life. Like there's lots of people in between, but where does LinkedIn come into play? Like what's your typical practice with that?
Both of them are going to get a connection from me. So there's two methods that I tell people to dance between. I like the idea of a dance. That's how I met my husband, dancing.
Oh, fun.
Swing dancing.
Yeah.
we're
Okay.
Both in a class.
Then swing dancing. Come on.
So one is to think about the people who you intend to meet at an event. So say you're going to that event with an intention of, these are some people that I really want to connect with while I'm there. You can reach out to them in advance and say, hey, I'm going to be at this event. Are you going? Let's see if we can catch up live and say hello.
Yeah.
And so that,
so it's an advance
It's an ad-
situation. Okay.
and so my husband did this recently. He's in the hospitality industry, and he reached out to like the CEO of Wyndham.
Oh, wow.
They were both
No
going
big.
to be,
Yeah.
the CIO maybe, because they're in tech.
Yeah.
And And the guy didn't accept the invitation.
Ooh.
And they go to this
curveball.
event, and so he's looking for him at the event, and apparently he hears that the guy's looking for him too. So even though he didn't accept the invitation, he knew the name and was looking for him. They ended up finding each other and talking at the event. I still don't know if he's ever accepted the invitation, but they are now connected and they're planning to get together. And they had a large conversation there. So one of the things I thought was, well, maybe he uses the connection later as another point of contact.
Right, to like solidify. We've just
Yes.
so he might have a different barrier to entry of his
Yes.
LinkedIn network than because that's a politicking thing too. Like people treat things differently, and that's fine.
So there's the advance. I'm going to reach out to you in advance with a note. There's the post, which is, it was so great to meet you. Here's our second point of contact. Because what you try to do when you're moving from conversation to connection is extend. You're trying to find the next point of contact, whether it's I'm going to follow up with you about this thing that we talked about, or whether it's I'm going to follow up with you with an invitation on LinkedIn. And then there's a note there. And when they accept it, then you also send a response back. And you keep a conversation going.
I like that because it's something to be a part of your intention when you're meeting people, rather than let's keep in touch, quotes here, let's keep in touch. That's so vague and arbitrary. But if you come up with something in the conversation that you have that can just be like, oh, I'm going to let you know that dog food that I feed
Yes.
Lucy because it will be killing me until I remember to tell you that, and I'm going to go home and find out what that is. Just something simple like that, so that there is something that is not just, hey, that was fun.
Yeah.
You know, you can send that email, and that email can work. But if there's an intentional follow-up, then that email's more likely to be checked, replied to. Same thing with a LinkedIn message, whatever the case may be, trying to come up with something. And this is why I always tell people, if someone's passing out a business card, don't forget to take some kind of note on it.
Yes.
Do you have thoughts on that?
Yes, I was going to share that because I actually made my new business cards to have lines on the back of it.
Do you really?
I
That's
do.
so good, Vin. We need to change my business card. I love that.
I'm not sure I love the ones I did, but I'll show them to you.
Yeah.
Because I'm always writing on the back. And I say to people, if I did not write on your card, then the responsibility's on you.
Bad news.
No, I say to them, because I'll be at a book signing line and people will drop me a pile of cards. And I'll say to them, write something on the back of your card about what we're talking about or what we're following up on. And if there's something written on the card, 95% chance you are going to hear from me.
Right.
If there's nothing written on your card, not so much.
Yeah, and also I kind of like to give this advice if, because you know how people just completely dissect what should be on their business card when they're designing it, and they're like, I need this and this and this and this and this, and I'm always like, I was like, what if you didn't put everything on the card, but when you meet someone and it actually is an opportunity that you want to make sure you follow up on, you say, oh, I'm only going to write my phone number on this card for somebody that really needs it. And then that way it's like, oh, this is a very intentional thing. And I'm also saying, like, you need my number. So there's an intention here for us to connect again. And I think enough of you to put something on this card that's a little bit more of a personal connection to me, so you can take it to the next level. Okay, now I'm looking at your business card.
And I love that because I don't hide that I'm writing something on the card. I'll say, green jacket, met in the elevator. I'll write anything just to help me remember because it matters. And I let them see that I care enough to remember.
Right.
A lot of people are like, oh, I'm going to go write it over here. No. Write it right in front of them.
Yeah, just write it down. Yeah. Write down anything else you want to know.
Yeah.
What can we write here? You have little check boxes on the back of your card. It says connect with me about speaking, training, or anything else. And there's lines on the card, which is great because you're also pointing out like, oh, wait, we didn't even talk about speaking. And you're a speaker or how are you associated to the speaking world?
Planting some seeds.
Very, very, very smart. We're going to provide a photo of this on the show notes because this is just great. And also that has your phone number.
Maybe we don't advertise the phone number.
Maybe not that.
Actually, it's on my website, so they'll find me if they want me.
Last question from Instagram. Becky Solderholm asked, I'm a salesperson. Any tips for how I can network without pushing my product too much? Quick answer.
Yes. Start with a relationship. So it's connect before you pitch. Mm-hmm. It's understand what they're working on, what they're thinking about. Maybe what you have is not what they need, but you know somebody who does. And you can say, hey, did you get over to that booth? Or whatever it might be. I will connect with people. Sometimes I have people who I've been connected to for 10 years that could have been clients and never been clients, but they referred people to me. And so creating that referral conversation. Somebody came up to me recently. They wanted a speaker. They didn't have the budget for me. I said, I understand. Tell me what your budget is. Tell me what topic you want. Let me help you find somebody.
Nice.
And they turned around and
So smart. Oh my gosh. Because what's the worst case scenario? You're still helping them.
Yeah.
Somebody else got the gig. No big deal. Like, no big deal, because you're helping two people out here who, let's say this never becomes an opportunity for you. That's fine. They might think of you for something else and recommend you out. And the other person's like, you got me a gig, man. Like, thank you. And they're thinking of the same thing.
I do this all the time. One time what happened was she's like, I know we can't afford you for this. Thank you so much for putting us in touch with blank. And everyone was happy. We can afford you for this event. And so now
And then there's a new conversation. all of a sudden,
conversation.
Instead of, oh, okay, thanks anyway, bye.
Right. So even though if I don't have the date available, even if I know they don't have the budget, I still get on the phone and I talk to them and I try to understand and I try to see who I can connect them to. Most recently when I did this, I said, yeah, I can't for that budget. I said, but I know a lot of great speakers that are in the area. Let me help you.
Yeah.
And then they replied back saying, we couldn't get enough budget for you because they were going to try. You know, please do connect us with somebody. No problem. Just remind me of the topics you're looking for.
Oh my gosh, I just love that.
They never came back to me. I circled back with them again. I'm like, hey, I really want to help you. Just remind me of
They
these
were
two
like, there's
things.
strings attached. Maybe they didn't reply because they were like, listen, lady, we can't hire you. So,
No, they replied back saying, Michelle, we think we can get the money. We want you. And
oh,
I'm doing
even
the
better.
gig.
Hey,
They actually they borrowed money from the fall budget to pay for the spring event, which is with me, and they're
Oh,
going
I
to worry
love
about the
that.
fall later, they said.
oh my gosh. And if you wouldn't have followed up, if you would have just let it go, who knows?
So by just putting yourself out there, whether it's you're trying to sell something or somebody's interested in your product, to not just be focused on your sale, but how you can more broadly and holistically be of service, of support, of assistance to whoever you're with.
Love it. I love it. Oh, okay. Okay. I
that's
still
why I
have
do
like
what I do.
a couple more questions, and I know we're short on time. So first, I have to ask, because I ask everybody, what is it like to be Michelle when you wake up? What's your morning routine like? When do you wake up? Like, what are your typical habits on a daily basis as a connector?
I knew you were going to ask this question. And I'm like, God, it's not pretty.
That's okay. That's relatable.
I reach across for the iPad and the remote control, and that's my first thing in the morning.
What do you watch first thing?
CBS Morning News.
And what's on your iPad?
Other than Candy Crush?
You're killing me.
I
here.
know. Oh my
Vin,
God, I told you it's not
earmuffs,
pretty.
Vin. Earmuffs.
I go straight to my email and make sure that there's nothing that blew up. And if I can clean anything off really quickly in the 5 minutes that it's taking me just to wake up, I love to hear the Your World in 90 Seconds on CBS Morning News. And just wake up 10 minutes of just flipping through my iPad and maybe playing a game of Candy Crush. I know I shouldn't
Just to
share
get the
that.
brain moving a
just,
little bit.
And then I'm in mommy mode. I'm getting the kids off to school. Once I know they've done their checklist,
Right.
I'm like, hey, our teeth, homeworks, lunches,
Do you have clothes on?
and then I will go into my office for about 5 or 10 minutes and clear off anything else before I take them to school. And what that enables me to do is then when I get back to my desk at 8:15 in the morning, if I'm not going to a client that day, I feel like, okay, I'm starting like at a clean state and not starting behind. And so it makes me feel like my morning time, I'm very productive.
Yeah.
And
Let's talk about that. So how do you exactly schedule your day? Like, how do you keep track of everything you've got to do? How do you balance this with your family? Like, what is the protocol for here's what I got to do and how I'm going to do it?
Outlook. I'm a slave to
Here
my
we
phone.
go. Outlook again.
Outlook, everything. I don't use all the functionality the way that Outlook intends it with their flags and their to-do lists and their task lists. No, everything's in the calendar.
Yes.
It doesn't matter if it's a doctor's appointment. It doesn't matter if it's remember to send somebody that image of that. Whatever, every little
Love
single
that.
thing I need to think of and remember because I don't trust my memory anymore. There's a line item in my to-do list at the top of the calendar, and I just make it an all-day event. And every day I look through that list. Sometimes I'll take something, if it's really important, I'll actually put it into a time slot.
Oh, that's a good idea because I keep putting things in time slots and then I just keep having to reschedule more than I typically would like. So I like the idea of making it an all-day event. So it's
Yeah.
just a checklist of things at the start of that day that you need to prioritize.
Yeah.
That's a good one.
And then what I do is every day I look at that list, and in that morning I'll be like, yeah, this is not going to happen. I know it's not going to happen today. Let me move it to another day. And everything moves. And if I find myself moving something for more than 2 weeks, I reevaluate whether or not it's
Why are we doing this?
Right.
Is this a priority? Or who else could do this?
Exactly. So it really just houses everything. And the other thing I like to do is think about the frog. You ever read that book, Eat That Frog?
I am familiar with the phrase, but I have not read the book.
So it's one of the time management classic books, and the concept is basically that your frog is the ugliest, yuckiest, wartiest thing you have to do that day that you're dreading. And I try to think of each day what's the frog? What's the A item? That if I do that, I'm going to feel good no matter what else gets done. And so I think of 1 or 2 frogs each day, and I try to knock them out early.
Love it.
And if I do nothing else, I still feel good.
You knocked out some big, nasty frogs.
I'm like, I got over the yuck.
Yeah.
Now,
I love that.
Now it's time for yum.
Oh my gosh. I just want to keep talking to you all day, but I absolutely can't because you have to go catch a train. And
I could do this
like,
all day with you,
so, like,
too.
oh, we have to do this again. Honestly, like there's so much more territory to cover here. You've written 4 books on it. So everybody needs to go check out The Connector's Advantage. We're going to be linking that in the show notes. Obviously, it's on Amazon and all the fun places you can get a book. But before I ask my final question, where else should people catch up with you online?
The best place to start is my website, which is Michelle with 2 L's, Tillis, Tillis, Lederman, Lederman.com. And from there, you can find my YouTube channel, which is not as amazing as yours, but I do these little success shorty videos because I'm 4'10", and they're only like a minute long.
So on brand.
With management and career tips. I have my blog there. I have my LinkedIn, which is where I spend most of my time, but you can also find me on Facebook so you can see all the animal pictures. And if you want to check out more about the book, you can just go to connectorsadvantage.com.
Awesome. Okay, my last question for you is, what does it mean to you to go after the life that you want?
I've always believed in the phrase, and I dedicated one of my books with this dedication is design your ideal. And this is where I shifted from a scarce mindset to an abundant mindset. It wasn't like I'm working for the man in finance. It was, well, I know I want to be a working mom. I knew I wanted to be a mom, and I knew I wanted to work. And I wanted the flexibility to always be in the front row at every single, oh God help me, I'm always in the front row, at every little concert and band thing and school play. It's gotten a little bit better in middle school. And yet I still wanted to have something that was meaningful to me. And so it means design your ideal. Whatever that looks like for you, whatever it is you want to fit in, don't worry about balancing it. Just fit in what you want to fit in and let the rest go.
Michelle Tillis Lederman, thank you for being on the show.
Thanks so much for having me.
All right, let's catch the details from this chat with Michelle. First, keep a record of your contacts somewhere, whatever works for you. This is very important because it's easy to lose track of all the people that you meet. I personally like to use a tool called Nimble. I've recently switched to it and I'm completely obsessed, totally loving it. Michelle likes Outlook. So whatever works for you, you can use your email, your calendar, your contacts, your phone, whatever works. That's all up to you. As long as you do it, it doesn't have to be the same tool that everyone else is using. Once you have it, make notes about the people that you meet and that you continue to get to know whenever you chat about their life and their work and what they are looking for. Things like birthdays, kids' names, spouse names, anniversaries, stuff like that are great. But also if you can just listen to what people are talking about, needs and people they want to get to know, people that can help lift them up, that's always good to keep in mind and make a note of so that it's top of mind for you next time you meet somebody in that arena. You can make that connection and begin this connector status. As you're meeting people, make notes on the back of business cards, whether it's one that you're giving out from yourself or ones that you're collecting. I love Michelle's tips on this, giving somebody something specific to follow up on and say, hey, here's what we talked about. Here's what I'm going to be talking to you about when I follow up with you is something great that you can write on the business card you hand out. But also remember to write on one that somebody might be giving you so you know exactly how to follow up with them as soon as you have an early opportunity. Losing track of business cards is so easy. It is much better if you're starting to write down notes and keeping things in mind from your conversation so you don't get lost in all the faces and names of people you come across, especially at events. I tend to run into this issue a lot. And of course, love this tip, eat the frog. We talk about this, wake up early if it fits your life, or wake up when you can get some extra hours for doing the thing that is the hardest, and that is the frog. Eat that frog first thing in the morning, get it over with, and move about your day. absolutely loved this episode. I have never met Michelle in person, but we have been dear friends online for a while. So this one was really special for me to share with you today. So thank you so much for listening. Hey, if you love getting advice straight to your earbuds, I'd love to share some simple steps for living your best life every day. And that is my free audio training, The 7 Essential Details for Going After the Life That You Want. To receive this audiogram, it's very simple. Subscribe to the podcast in your favorite podcast player, take a screenshot to show that you're subscribed, and then email that screenshot to hello@detailspodcast.com. That's hello@detailspodcast.com with audiogram, please, in the subject line, and we'll get that right over to you. If you missed any of those instructions, they are in the show notes. Just check it out and follow through. Thank you so much for tuning in. I appreciate it as always. If you would like to discover even more actionable details, head over to AMYTV by typing the URL in your browser, youtube.com/AMYTV, or you can search for my name, Amy Landino, in the YouTube app. Make sure you remember to subscribe for good vibes, kiss the ones you love, and go after the life you want. Cheers.